Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College, as we continue our broader track on smart contract security, and specifically within our Introduction to Smart Contract Security course, we're jumping right into today's explainer, detecting and exploiting integer overflows. Now, you might remember in our previous lesson, Overview, Integer Overflow and Timestamp Dependency Risks, we talked a lot about theory. And, abstract concepts are great, but there is absolutely nothing like watching a smart contract state completely corrupt in real time to truly grasp what we're up against. So today, we're putting on our lab coats, we're going to build a hands-on experiment to locate, exploit, and finally patch an integer overflow vulnerability.
Okay, let's dive right into this with a mathematically impossible question. When does adding 10 to 250 leave you with exactly 4? Take a second to think about that. In the real world, absolutely never, right? But in the wild, kinda logic-defying world of older Solidity versions, surprisingly often. If we aren't incredibly careful with our arithmetic, basic math can just shatter our contract's logic, leading to some truly catastrophic results.
So, here is the agenda for today's mad scientist experiment. 1. The hypothesis. 2. The setup. 3. The explosion. 4. The cleanup. And 5. The lab report. Starting off with Section 1, the hypothesis, looking specifically at unchecked arithmetic. Okay, so our core premise here is actually quite dangerous, because as humans, we naturally assume numbers just keep going up when you add to them. But assuming that in the Ethereum virtual machine, huge mistake. This brings us to the concept of a wraparound. Think of it exactly like an old car odometer. Once it hits its absolute mechanical limit, say 999,999 miles, driving one more mile doesn't push it to 1,000,000. It physically rolls all the way back to 0. Early Ethereum devs were obsessed with saving gas, so they crammed numbers into tiny data types like a uint8, an unsigned 8-bit integer. Its absolute max capacity is 255. Push it to 256 and it just silently resets to 0. No warnings, no errors, just instantly corrupted data.
Moving right along to Section 2, the setup, building a vulnerable contract. To test this out quickly and safely, we are keeping our sandbox completely local. We don't need a mainnet connection, and we definitely don't want to test exploits where real funds are at risk. It just takes 3 quick steps. First, we initialize a local tool like Hardhat, which basically spins up a disposable mini blockchain right on your laptop. Second, we create our standard contracts and test directories. And third, we write our target file, affectionately named vulnerable.sol. Now, what's really interesting about this snippet is our deliberate sabotage. We are explicitly choosing an older compiler, Solidity version 0.7.6. Why? Because before version 0.8.0, arithmetic wraps silently instead of automatically reverting the transaction. We are also intentionally using that tiny uint8 for our counter. By keeping the limit at 255, we don't need impossibly massive numbers to force an overflow. We can trigger it instantly.
All right, Section 3, the explosion, executing the exploit.
The trap is set, and this is the fun part. We're writing a local Mocha test harness to purposely shatter the math. The sequence is beautifully simple. First, we deploy the contract with the counter at 250. We are walking right up to the edge of the cliff here, just 5 digits from the max. Next, we call increment and pass in 10, shoving us right off that cliff. Finally, we assert, or tell our test to expect, that the new value will be exactly 4. And boom, the test passes. The number is literally 4. 250 plus 10 somehow equals 4. Seeing this automated test pass is your ultimate, undeniable confirmation of the vulnerability. The state just corrupted in total silence. Now imagine if this wasn't a simple test counter, right? What if it was a user's token balance or their day-out voting weight? An attacker could use this exact quirk to drain liquidity or instantly mint infinite tokens out of thin air. It is a real game changer and definitely not in a good way.
Which brings us to Section 4, the cleanup, patching the vulnerability.
We obviously can't leave that logic wide open. So the crucial point is how we actually fix it. You basically have 2 solid options here. Option A is to write an explicit require bounds check directly into your logic. Or Option B is simply upgrading your compiler to Solidity 0.8.0 or higher, which has built-in safe math that automatically stops overflows. Upgrading is almost always your best bet. But, if you're dealing with a massive legacy code base or a specific protocol fork where you can't upgrade, Option A is absolutely your lifeline. Check out the sheer simplicity of this Option A bounds check.
In unsigned math, if you add two positive numbers together, the new state absolutely has to be greater than or equal to the original state. It just has to be. If a wraparound happens, the result suddenly drops. So by adding a simple check that looks for that drop, the contract literally verifies its own math. If the new state is unexpectedly smaller, it hits the brakes, halts execution, and throws a safer version error.
Let's run that test one more time on our freshly patched contract. This time, we try to push that 250 over the edge by adding 10, and it behaves exactly like real-world math. The test confirms the transaction successfully reverts, the exploit fails entirely, the safety error message fires, and our contract state safely remains locked at exactly 250.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, the lab report.
Let's quickly distill what we learned here so you can apply it directly to your own code. First, unsigned integers wrap silently in older environments. They will happily ruin your math without a single error. Second, assuming a counter will always just increase is completely unsafe without explicit logic guards. Third, simple checks, like verifying the new value is larger, are incredibly effective, though upgrading compilers is your strongest defense whenever possible. And lastly, building these small, targeted local tests is for sure the absolute best way to validate that your contract's math holds up under pressure.
So we've seen how manipulating simple math invariants can absolutely destroy a contract's logic. But here's a thought. If you can manipulate simple math, what happens when you apply these exact same exploitation techniques to manipulate time itself? Well, we'll be tackling that exact question in our next explainer as we dive into timestamp dependencies. Until then, thank you so much for joining us. I highly encourage you to head over to forge.college to learn more about this subject and explore our whole library of Web3 topics. See you next time.